Hey there. Before we get into this episode, I have an event to share with you. If you are craving clarity, direction, and a plan that actually works for your business this year, then you need to be at the Hustle and Charm 2025 Business Planning Workshop this weekend. I'm leading the first session where we're going to be diving into goal setting that sticks, not just wishful thinking, but real intentional steps to get you where you want to go. I'm going to be walking you through how to set aligned goals that fuel your passion and don't burn you out, how to raise your energy and boost your vibration so you stay motivated, and the balance between intention and action so that you're not just busy, but you're actually building something meaningful. Plus, you're going to be in a room full of like-minded entrepreneurs who get it, because goal setting alone is fine, but doing it with others, that's where the magic happens. So doors are closing soon, so if you're in, I want you to grab your ticket through the link in the show notes, or you can also head over to Instagram and check out Hustle and Charm Community, and I hope to see you there. Hey there, and welcome to the Hey Kayla podcast. I am your host, Kayla Evans, and today is part 3 of the Unstuck and Unstoppable series, and we're going to be talking about something big, and that is making bold, inspired moves without freaking out. Because let's be honest, taking our leaps, making changes, putting ourselves out there, it can be really scary, but fear is not the boss of you. So by the end of this episode, you're going to have some tips and tricks to make those scary but exciting moves with confidence. And I'm also going to share a few stories about my own moves and how they've paid off. So let's do this. Number 1, feel the fear and do it anyway. Fear doesn't mean stop. It means that you're about to grow. And sometimes the fear doesn't go away as you're making big moves. So your choices are either stop, which just isn't going to happen, or you go for it anyway and you find ways to manage the fear as best as you can as you go along. So to do this, I do best worst case scenario. First, I'll ask myself, what's the best case scenario? And I visualize all the great things and feelings and moments that could come with taking the steps. I focus on the possibilities, not the worst case outcome. So when I first left my network job to start my coaching business, I was obviously terrified. But I kept reminding myself, I had these Post-its all over my office, and my favorite one said, what if this all works out? Second one said, what's the best that could happen? And then third, and my all-time favorite quote, she makes it. And guess what? She did. Now, if you're not quite there and you're thinking, yeah, okay, the power of positive thinking is not going to make me feel better, I get that. In that case, I want you to do this. I want you to write down your fears, like all the very worst case scenarios that twisted part of your brain can come up with, all of them. And then I want you to challenge each one. I want you to make an entire list. And then beside it on the other side of the page, I want you to put like a positive what if scenario. So for me, my biggest fear at the top of my column was that my business wouldn't make enough money. I would lose my house, not be able to feed myself and my dog. Like that kept me up at night, right? That is a scary, real thing that could happen, right? Could have happened, could still happen. So beside that, I put down that I would move in with my mama and I would get a job at Starbucks while I built up my business. And let me tell you, that made things a lot less scary. Even to this day, like that's my safety net, right? I even went as far as asking my mom, like if like shit goes south, can I move in with you? Like if I lose everything. And she said, yeah, of course. Like obviously you always have a place here. And then the job at Starbucks or like Tim's or something like that, I wouldn't go back to the corporate world because I don't want to get sucked back into those golden handcuffs. I would get a job working, I don't really know how to say this without it sounding offensive. So a job not in the corporate world, right? Like a job that I know is only temporary so that in my evenings or my mornings or my weekends, I could still build up my business. Like that is my safety net. And let me tell you, that makes, like the fear is still there, but it makes things a lot less scary. So that's number 1. Number 2 is I want you to start to take baby steps that feel bold, but that they're really actually manageable. So if you've listened to the previous episodes, like you don't have to flip your life upside down overnight to make a change. You can start small, but you do have to start somewhere. And when I say bold moves, like this can be anything as simple as like sending an email or, signing up to take a class, saying no to something that doesn't quite align with what you want in the future. Even something as simple but as exciting as getting the social media handles for your side hustle that you want to start. Something like that. So again, back to my business, that's the example I'm going to use for this episode. When I wanted to pivot into teaching public speaking full time, my first bold move wasn't quitting my job. Like quitting my job is actually pretty much the last thing I did. It was my first bold move was actually volunteering to coach people for free. Like I did this for months before I ever left the network or started charging people. At first, I didn't realize that I was kind of doing it, but then when I kind of got it in my mind that that was what I was going to do, then I really kind of ramped it up and started offering my coaching to like friends and people who worked in the nonprofit sector and for charities. And this did two things. I proved to myself that I could actually do it. So then I felt more confident when I actually did start charging people. And number two, and probably the biggest thing, was I was already acting as a coach. So I knew, like not just visualized, but I knew in my body how it would feel to spend my days doing this. So it wasn't as daunting or as scary the first day I woke up as a full-time coach. It was still scary. It was still daunting. There are still some days now I wake up and I'm like, oh, what have you done? But because I felt it and lived it before I did it, if that's a possibility for you, it made it a lot less scary and a lot less daunting. So as you go through the next couple of weeks, I just want you to identify some small but bold steps that you can take, because I really feel that with a lot of things, and confidence included, like the more you do the things, the stronger you get, the braver you get, the better you get. And then you get in motion and you're just motivated to keep taking action, but you got to do something. So figure out some small, bold steps that you can take and try to take one at least once a week to get you rolling in that right direction. And then, as I always say, like the steps will reveal themselves as you go, right? You'll be presented with people or opportunities, or the path kind of unfolds before you. I really believe that. That's been my experience. That's been the experience of my clients, but you have to get into action first. That's number two. Okay. Number three is to anchor yourself in your why. And we've heard this advice, especially if you're in the coaching world or this personal development world, business world. You have heard this advice so many times. And I do believe it. It is true. Big moves, bold moves, like they're less intimidating when you're clear on your deeper purpose, right? Like, why do you want this change? Who are you doing it for? Ask yourself, what do I want most? What's most important to me? Yes, 100%. Focusing on your why can really help you move past the doubts and fears. But what I've seen time and time again, and this was true for me as well, when we try to uncover our why, it's not our real why, right? And I don't want this to sound shady to anybody who this is your why, because I do believe it's true for some people, but not all of us. So many times I've heard clients, and I was like this too, say, my why, I want to help people. I want to help women. I want to make the world a better place. I want to, do my part to, raise up humanity. Like I want to empower women, like all of these great things, which is awesome. Yes. But what I have found is often that's a secondary why. The real why of a lot of people is coming from a place that is seen as much more selfish. So if you actually came out and you were like, yeah, my why is that I want to make more money so that I can get myself out of debt so I'm not so freaking stressed and snapping at my husband all the time. Like that's your real why. Like that's your first why, right? Then by sharing your gifts, if you just happen to help the world, I mean, that's a bonus, right? So I do believe that, yes, a lot of people, their heart-centered why is their why. But I also think for a lot of us, we weren't being honest, or maybe we're not being honest with ourselves. And why this is so important is, for me, when I first started, I was like, yeah, my why is I want to help people. I want to help people feel more confident, and I want to give them the skills so that they can go out and share their skills and gifts with the world and raise up humanity, right? That was my original why. And when times got tough, and when I got stressed, and when I felt like giving up, guess what? I gave up, because that was actually my secondary why. For me, my why has always been my freedom. And this is what I mean by a lot of us, our first whys, like our true whys, can appear selfish, so we don't admit to them or we don't say them. I love helping people feel better about themselves, feel more confident. Yes, that's incredible. But 150% honest, my number one value is my freedom. I want to live my days the way I want. I want to create what I want, work with who I want. I want complete freedom. That's where it's at for me. Financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom. That's my number one thing. So when things got tough for me, when I stopped thinking like, oh, I really want to empower and help these women. Yes, I do. But the main thing was, hey, I want to be able to wake up tomorrow without an alarm and decide what I want to do for the day. That is what got me through the tough times. So I hope this is making sense. I don't want it to sound like I don't think you should want to help people. Yes, you should want to help people. That's a lot of us. I'm assuming if you're listening to this podcast, you have a big heart. You're a great human being. You want to help humanity. Yes. But what is your true why? Spend some time really digging deep. And I don't want you to feel guilty, and I don't want you to feel sad that your why is selfish, right? For a lot of people that I've worked with, their why was that they wanted to make more money so that they could work less than their 9 to 5 to spend more time with their kids. Like, that's their why. Yes, helping moms eat healthier with their nutrition business was important, but their true why was they wanted to spend more time with their own kids. That's awesome. Like, that's what's going to get you through, right? If your why is that you want to start eating better so that you feel better about yourself, so that you're not snapping at your coworkers and biting their heads off, great. Like, what is your true why? I want you to write it down and then put it somewhere where you're going to see it every day, right? Sticky notes, your phone wallpaper. I love doing that in Canva. That's a big one for me. And then whenever you either get scared or fear creeps in, or you feel exhausted, or you feel like, I don't want to do this anymore, take a look and remember why you are doing what you are doing. For me, I've definitely shared this before, I'm sure, somewhere, but I'll share it again on my Instagram. It's this little piece of paper, and it was a quote that I had screenshotted from Tumblr really long time ago. And to me, it like encompassed everything I wanted to feel. So, and honestly, it's right here beside me right now in front of it's right on top of my laptop on the wall. It says, drink too much coffee, wear lipstick that's too dark, and never settle for a life you don't want. Yes, I love all those things, but to me, that just spoke of freedom. And when I started following that as my why, and I truly connected with my real why, that made all the difference. So, longest story longer. Point number 3, get in touch with your why, but your real why. And again, no shade to anybody. If your real why is that you just want to help, not just, but if you want to help the world, then yes, put that down. But if it's that you want to be able to buy organic food, or you want to spend more time with your kids, or, you want to, I don't know, whatever your why may be yourself, choose your real why and stick with it. Do not feel ashamed. Do not feel like it's selfish, because it's not. Number 4, I want you to celebrate every win. I'm big on celebrating things, but I want you to do this in 2 different ways. Because like making moves, it's not just about the end goal, right? It really is about the journey. We've heard that before, but it is. So I want you to celebrate your progress in 2 ways, big or small, and big and small. So every yes, every new opportunity, every time you push past your fear, like that is worth celebrating. I have a whole podcast episode on this. I used to downplay my wins all the time, thinking like they weren't big enough to matter. But then when I started celebrating each step, it actually fueled my confidence to keep going. It keeps you motivated. And when you treat yourself nicely, like it keeps your vibe high, which is the place where all of our best work ideas come from. And like, I'm very single. So if I don't treat myself, like who will? Treat yourself. Even if you're in a relationship, you should be treating yourself as well. So 2 ways I do this, along with like that bigger celebration that I do when I achieve like that big end goal. I also do a small but meaningful, nice thing for myself after I complete each action step. So I will get myself a new book, or I will treat myself to a pedicure. I love taking myself to lunch, like nothing crazy expensive either. Just something I truly love, like food, books, that says, you know what, Kayla, I love you. And I'm proud of the work you put in. Something small like that. And then, of course, don't forget to have a bigger celebration, like after you complete the main goal. And my favorite way of doing this is I hold a dinner in my honor. Like I do. I will either ask my mom or brother to take me to dinner to celebrate myself, or I will ask my girlfriends to a dinner in honor of me and my work, as if it's my birthday, but I'm just celebrating my work. And they're there for me, and we cheers to me and the things that I did. It's awesome. It is incredible. Please do something like that. The bigger celebration with your family or your girlfriends or your friends at a dinner, it's perfect. It feels so good. So with that, that is a wrap on the Unstuck and Unstoppable series. But before I actually wrap up this episode, I do want to get into answering some of the questions that came in over the last couple weeks about moving past, like what's holding us up, and making moves towards what actually lights us up. So question number 1, and I got so many variations of this question. It was definitely the biggest, most common question that came in. What would you say is the most important thing when it comes to changing your life? And hands down, for me, I gotta say, it's overcoming your excuses. Taking responsibility for yourself and your life. Like that is the biggest thing. Whether it's changes with your health or fitness or finances or career, your daily habits, like it's very easy to feel stuck and like you have no choice. But you always have a choice to change. And the sooner you can cut the excuses and like cut the BS and take responsibility, you're going to take your power back and you're going to get to it. And that may sound harsh. And I'm not saying that it's easy. It's the opposite. And I do understand that we all come from different situations and backgrounds and challenges, but taking ownership of your life, like you're the only one that can do that for you. You're the only one that's, what do they say? Like nobody's coming to save you. You are the only one who can do that for yourself. And that's why I say that is the most important. Hands down, you got to overcome the excuses. They're strong. There's a lot of them. Humans, we don't like change. We don't like to be uncomfortable. We don't like to go against the grain of what we've done for the last forever. But you know what? You want to change your life? You got to make changes. It's uncomfortable. It sucks a lot of the time, but you got to get over those excuses and you got to take responsibility for yourself in your life. Hands down, most important thing. Okay, question number 2. What do I do when I can't imagine who I want to become, my ideal self? So this is super common. It's actually one of the biggest things I cover in one of my workshops. It's called Becoming Your Most Favorite Version of You. And while there are several things you can do, and in the workshop, I take you through a ton of them, I would say like the quickest and probably easiest thing that I could suggest to anyone is to find a role model for inspiration to get you going. And what I mean with that is to find somebody who you admire who has already achieved what you would like to achieve. So let's say you want to focus on your health, right? You could get a workout routine or some meal ideas from following someone on social media who inspires you. And keep in mind, like, inspiration is what we're going for here, right? Like we're not trying to rip somebody off. We're not trying to copy somebody. We're not trying to become somebody else because we don't like ourselves. No. We love ourselves. We just want to be kinder to ourselves and make changes to better our lives. So we're going to look to somebody else for inspiration. So that would be like the easiest, quickest thing I would say to do. If you're really stuck, you want to change, but you're trying to envision your future and you're like, I don't know what that looks like, where I am, what I'm doing, what I look like, who I am. Look on social media. We can use social media for good or we can use it for evil. Let's use it for good. Look at the incredible people you admire that are doing incredible things who have achieved what you would like. Use them for inspiration. Nothing wrong with that. All of us who want to serve, we're putting out free content for a reason. We want you to take advantage of it. We want to inspire, educate you. We want you to learn from us. So please take advantage. And then let's do a third question before this gets to be too long of an episode. Number 3, this one was really common too. How long does it actually take to change things? And oh, this one is so good. And the answer I have for you, you're probably going to hate it. The answer is that it depends. And when I say that it depends, what I mean is it depends on both you as a person and it depends on the thing you are trying to change or the habit you are trying to adopt. So for me, some changes pretty immediate, like a week or less, I started to notice a difference. And those things came with my health and how I felt with working out and eating better, getting more sleep, drinking more water. Like those were noticeable, almost immediate, right off the bat, right? But when it came to changing like where I've lived over the years, if you know my story, I've moved like probably 50 times since I was 16. I moved a lot. Part of that is my wandering spirit. The other part of that is I've made some questionable choices, let me tell you. And then my career, obviously, bopping around, the world doing things. So I've moved a lot. And those things take a little bit longer, right? Hopefully you want to do your research. If I could leave you with one lesson about that, do your research. Buying, selling houses, that can take a little bit longer. If you want to change your career, that can take a little bit longer as well. Like when I became a business owner, that obviously took longer. And I feel like that one's actually ongoing as I grow and change and my business grows and changes. So first, I think it definitely depends on what you are trying to change, like what change you were trying to make. And then the other thing, and I think that this is the most important thing, it depends on you as a person. How consistent are you going to be? How committed are you going to be? How positive are you going to stay? Like that is huge. And I'm not saying consistent like you can't take a day off or you can't fall off. You have to show up in the exact same way every single day. No, I am of the belief that if you wake up and you only have 30% to give, but you give that full 30%, you actually give 100% that day. That's what I believe. That's how I operate. I think it really works. And then how committed are you going to be? Again, go back to your why. Is that really your why? Or are you doing things because you think you should, or because somebody else told you should, or your spouse or your parents, or like somebody expects you to do something? Like, is it actually what you want? And is it your why? Are you committed to it? And then how positive are you going to stay? And I'm not saying you have to be positive every second of every day. Like nobody's like that. But when I say that, I mean, like, you're positive in the way that you believe in yourself and you love yourself and you're kind to yourself, because we want to keep moving in the direction that we want to go in. And if you're berating yourself and you're giving up every week and your self-talk is just shitty, like you're super negative to yourself, it's going to be a lot more painful and it's probably going to slow you down. So my biggest thing I would say here is that if you're able to stay open-minded, right, put in the work, but flow with things, embrace the change. That's really painful for a lot of us, but embrace the change, be okay with the discomfort. And if you're ready to be consistent, keep moving in the direction you want to go in, you're going to get further faster, if that makes sense. So that's my advice there. And with that, I think that's enough for one episode. I just want this episode to be like the permission slip that you think you need. You don't need a permission slip. You can make changes about anything at any time. I honestly believe that if you're not hurting anybody, you can do whatever you want. Like, you may think, and society, people have told us like, oh, that's not realistic, or you can't just have whatever you want. But enough of us in the world are doing it that if we can do it, anyone can do it. So if you think you need a permission slip, please let this be it for you. Get outside that comfort zone. Give yourself credit. You are so much more powerful and so much braver than you give yourself credit for. I was thinking, okay, one more quick story and then I'll let you go. I was thinking about this the other day when I was talking to a group of high school students, and they're maybe 13, 14. They're like, oh, like, I haven't done anything in my life yet. That word kept coming up, yet, right? They had big dreams, but they hadn't done anything yet. Yeah, you have. 100%. Let me tell you, if you're going through your teenage years, you are definitely braver than you think, and you are definitely going through it. You've been through some shit already. Be proud of yourself. Give yourself some credit. It doesn't matter if you're 14, 44, 94. You've done some awesome things in your life. You just may not recognize them as being awesome things. So give yourself some credit, please. And just be so kind to yourself. And if you love this series, go ahead, share it with a friend who might need it. I'm going to have part 1 and part 2 linked in the show notes. And I'm always here to help you take those bold steps, get you some clarity, get you some confidence. If you're listening to this in real time, tomorrow, Saturday, the 25th, Saturday, January 25th, I am teaching all of this stuff more in depth at this awesome workshop. It's the Hustle and Charm 2025 Business Planning Workshop. I'm also going to put the link in the show notes. Maybe 1 or 2 tickets left. Jump on that if you want. And if you're not listening to this in real time, you can always DM me on Instagram. I'm there at Hey Kayla, or you can email me info@heykayla.com. If you want to get together, check out any of my coaching options. And with that, I'm going to let you go. So thank you, as always, so much for hanging out with me. I want to say good luck, but you don't need luck. You've got everything you need already inside of you. I truly believe that. Have fun. I'm going to tell you that. Have fun with your changes. And I hope you have the best week.